So good morning. Okay. So I will be discussing your module week 7, which is the if else statement under the C++ program. Okay. I just select this module. Okay. So this topic is about the if statement, if else statement, and the nested if else. So for example, we are assigning grades of A, B, and then C based on the marks obtained by a student. So if the percentage is above 90, so we assign a grade of A, and above 75, we assign a grade of B. And if the grade is above 65, okay, we assign a grade of C. Okay, so there are three forms of if-else statement in C++, and these are the if statement, if-else statement, the else if, else statement, or the nested if-else. Okay, so let's try to over this for the if statement. So if you have an if condition, okay, based on this condition, given condition, okay, it will execute the body of the if statement. Okay, so the if statement evaluates the condition inside the parentheses. Okay, so the parenthesis is its condition. So if the condition is evaluated to true, so the code inside this body, okay, of the if is executed. And if the condition evaluates to false, so if the condition is false, okay, the code inside the body of the if statement is skipped. Okay, like for example, this condition, okay, we have this condition being true. So if we have an integer which is equivalent to 5, so the if condition here is the number is greater than 0. So is 5 greater than 0? So that will be true. So it will execute the code inside the if condition. Okay, if the condition is false, okay, like for example, you have an integer of 5 and you have used the if condition. Okay, so the number is less than 0. So the statement is false. So it will skip the code inside the body of if, and it will proceed to the next code after the if condition. Okay, so let us try this example. Okay, so example of if statement. So let me just copy this code. Okay, and I'll just create a new file. Okay, then I'll just paste it. Okay, so let me just arrange this one. Okay, so let us just execute. So let us compile and run. Okay. Now I will just save this as if statement, or if file name. Okay, save. Then there are no possible errors. So let us input an integer. So enter an integer, and the condition of if here is if number is greater than 0. So let us try greater than 0. Let's try 5 or 25. Okay, so if that value or integer that you are entering is greater than 0, it will run the code inside this given if statement, the code inside here. So it will have an output of you enter the positive integer, and this statement is always executed. Okay, so let's try it. I'll just type in 25 and then press enter. Okay, so you entered a positive integer of 25, and this statement is always executed. Okay, let's try to run it again. Okay, so let us provide the value or enter a number that is less than 0. So let's provide negative 25. Okay, and then press enter. Okay, so this statement is always executed from this output. Okay, as you'll notice, the condition inside the if is being skipped or being bypassed, then it will proceed to the output here. Okay, so I'll notice here. So I'll just close this one. Okay, let's go back. Okay, So if you enter, so these are your possible output. If you entered a value or enter an integer greater than 0, so it will execute the code inside the if condition. Okay, if the integer is less than 0, okay, it will skip this one. Okay, proceeding to the next output. Okay, so let's try to use now if else. Okay, so this statement, okay, or this condition using the if statement can have an optional else clause. Okay, like for example, if and then the condition. Okay, so this is the code for if it's true, so it will execute this code. But then if this condition is false, okay, it will skip this one. Okay, proceeding to the else clause, which is it will execute this condition. So if the condition is true for this particular diagram here, so if you enter an integer of 5, okay, so that's greater than, it will execute this one. Okay, and then it will proceed to the uh, what you call this code after the else condition. So it will execute this one because it's true, and then it will bypass or skip the else condition here. So it will proceed here and then through here. So if the condition is false, so if the condition is false, so it will skip this code. Okay, so it will proceed to the else condition. Okay, then execute the code, and then the code after the if else condition. Okay, so it has its explanation here. Okay, you may want to read that one. Okay, so I'll just proceed to the example here. Okay, I'll just copy this one again. Then I'll just create a new file. Okay, I'll just arrange this one. And this one. That one. Okay. So now I will execute. Okay, and then save it as if and then else. Okay. Now let us enter an integer. Okay, so let's provide 75, then enter. Okay, you enter the positive integer, which is 75, and the line is always printed. Okay, so if the condition here is true, which is greater than or equal to 0, so it will execute the program inside the if. Okay, so you enter the positive integer, which is this number, which is 75. Okay, and notice that it is skipped the code or inside the else program. Okay, and then this line is always printed. Okay, let us execute that again. Let us try now negative 8. Okay, so you entered a negative integer, so you entered a negative 8 value, so that is less than, so this is not true, so it will skip this code. Okay, and we'll proceed to the else clause or the else condition, and then it execute the code inside that else condition, and also after that if else condition. Okay, I'll just close this one. Okay, so the output here is has its explanation. Okay, so let us try this if else and else if statement. Okay, so it has this condition, then code.block 1 for if. Okay, if that is true, it will execute the program. Okay, but then if it is false, it will proceed to the else if condition. Okay, and that is false, it will execute the else condition. Okay, so if the first condition is true, that is the if. Okay, so if number greater than 0, which is 2, so it's true, so it will execute this code, and then proceed to the code after the else if and else condition. Okay, and then the second condition is true, so if number is 0, so it should be greater than, so this is false, it will not execute this code, but then it will proceed to the else if condition. So number is not equal or equal to 0, okay, or not equal to 0. So it will execute this, or it will proceed to that integer. Okay, so it will be equal to 0. Okay, and then for the last condition, okay, and if this is -2, if that is false, so it will not run the code after the if condition. Also, it will not run the else if condition. It will proceed to the last clause, which is the else condition, and execute that code and the code after if condition. Okay, so let us try this one. So it has its explanation here. So I'll just copy this program. I'll just create a new one, paste, then execute. Yeah, so I'll just enter this one for clarity. Okay. So even though I don't arrange this program, it will run. Okay, so I'll just run and execute, and then save it as. Okay. So let's say what it will be the statement here. So enter an integer. Okay, let us try 3. Enter. Then you enter the positive integer. Okay, so it will execute. This statement is true. It will execute this code. Okay, and then it will execute the code after the if condition. Okay, so it will bypass this one and also this one. Okay, so let's try it another one. Okay, so if I'm going to execute this one, so I'll just type in -3. Okay, you enter the negative integer that is less than 0. Okay, so -3 is not greater than 0, so it will bypass this code and it will proceed to the else if condition, which is this one, and execute this code and also execute the last part of the code. Okay, then I'll just close this one. Let us try 0. Okay. So 0, enter. So you entered 0. Okay, you'll notice here it bypasses these conditions, okay, and this code. So it had proceeded to the last code, the else condition here. Okay, so you enter the value of 0. Okay, so those are the if and then else if. Okay, so body of else if. Okay, so these are the nested if. Okay, with there are different types of condition by determining if it's true or if it's false. Okay, so let us proceed with the operators. So there you are familiar with the arithmetic operators, which is the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulo to find the remainder. Okay, so there are some examples here. Okay, and then let us proceed with the. Okay, this is the incremented decrement operators. Okay, so that is the increment is double plus symbol, and the decrement is double negative sign symbol. Okay, so the double positive increases the value of the operand by 1, while this symbol decreases it by 1. Okay, so increasing number by 1, like for example this code. Okay, so if the number is 5, it will increment by 1. Okay, that's gets an increase of or value of 6, okay, from the initial value of 5. So let us go to the assignment operators. Okay, so example. So the operator of equal, then plus equal, negative equal, then asterisk equal, and then this one and that one. Okay, so example is A equals to B, so that is equivalent to this particular output. Okay, so if A plus Okay, so that will give us assigning a value of 5 will give us an output of this one. Okay, so A is equivalent to A plus B, and then minus AB, then product, divisor, and then a modulo, which is finding the remainder. Okay, and then there are some operators here, which is this one. Okay, so which is equal to. Okay, so double equal, then uh, Oriel symbol, which is not equal to. Okay, so these are the statements. Okay, so for giving us a false, true, false, and so on. So, like for example, 3 is equal to 5. That gives us a false statement. Okay, and then 3, which is not equal to 5, that gives us a true. Okay, so is 3 greater than 5? So probably it's false. And then 3 less than 5, that gives us true. So greater than or equal to 5, false, and then less than equal to 5. So you may want to search for the C++ operators, okay, so that you could have an idea about false and true statements of their uh, relationships, okay. And then for logical operators, okay, so these are the expression of logical AND, logical OR, and logical NOT. Okay, so logical AND is true if all the operands are true. Okay, so true if at least one of the operands is true, and true if only operand is false. So this is the opposite of logical AND, which is logical NOT. Okay, so there are some examples here. Okay, then possible some. So this we have these explanations here. Okay, so you can simply search for C++ operators. Okay, with examples. Okay, now I will proceed to the let's say next. Let's use the go back to the module. Okay, then let us proceed with the this to while loop. Week 9, so we're still on week 7. So let us try this leap year. Okay, so example of leap year. So check if a year is a leap year or not. So I'll just copy this one. Let's try to copy this. Okay, and then I'll just create a new file. So you'll notice for the on this program. So if the year so modulo 4, so it's not equal to 0. Okay, so it will execute the given program. Okay, and then if the year is divisible divided by a modulo of 100, which is not equal to 0. Okay, so let's try this program. Okay, so I'll just try. Let's flip here. Okay, and then save. Okay, let us enter here. Okay, so any year will do. Let's say 2004, and then enter. Okay, so 2004 is a leap year. Okay, so if the year is modulo 4 is not equal to 0, okay, so this statement is false, I mean. Okay, so it's not equal to 0. Okay, so you notice here, so the if statement, if the year modulo 4, so will is equal to 0, so this is a false statement, so it will not execute this condition, so it will proceed to the else condition, which is this one. Okay, so that's why our output here is 2004 is a leap year. Let's try another one. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, Then let's input a value of 2009. Okay, so 2009 is not a leap year. So uh, it bypasses this condition. Okay, and then it proceeded to this condition. I mean this one. Okay, but then it will look under this condition. So if that is divisible by 100 and the remainder is 0. Okay, so that statement is will not be executed also for this one. Okay, so it will proceed to this statement probably here. Okay, so the year 2009 is not a leap year. Okay, so just close this one. Okay, then going back to this. Okay, so you may want to try that one. Okay, in your part. Okay, and for my assessment, okay, so kindly search for the uh, operator so under C++. Okay,